You are carrying something right now, something heavy, something you swear you need, something that once saved your life, but today is slowly killing you, and you refuse to let it go. In the ancient forests of India, long before empires rose and fell, there lived a merchant named Noah. He was no fool. He was a practical man, a survivor who had crossed treacherous trade routes for years. But even the strongest men meet a river they cannot conquer with will alone. One monsoon season, Noah found himself at the edge of a raging river swollen by weeks of torrential rains. The water roared like an angry god. He had no choice. His goods had to reach the next village, or his family would starve. He stepped into the violent current. Within moments, the river claimed him. It slammed him against rocks, filled his lungs with muddy water, and dragged him under again and again. Noah fought with everything he had, but the river was winning. Just as darkness began to swallow his vision, his hands struck something solid floating in the chaos. A crude raft made of thick bamboo stalks lashed together with vines. He clung to it desperately. The raft became his lifeline. It carried him through the worst of the torrent until, battered and half-drowned, Noah washed up on the far bank. He lay there gasping, staring at the sky, heart pounding with the raw miracle of still being alive. The raft had saved him. Without it, he would be dead at the bottom of that river. Gratitude flooded his chest. He looked at the simple structure of bamboo and vine and felt something close to love. Most men would have left the raft there on the bank. Its purpose was fulfilled. The river was crossed, but not Noah. He stared at the raft and thought, what if another river lies ahead? What if I face danger again? This raft saved my life once. It could save me again. So instead of leaving it behind, Noah did something that would change the rest of his journey forever. He dragged the heavy raft onto his back, tied it tightly across his shoulders with the same vines, and began walking into the dense jungle. At first it didn't feel so bad. The weight was noticeable, but he told himself it was a small price for safety. Better to be burdened than dead, he muttered as he pushed through the thick undergrowth. The jungle was alive with sound. Birds, insects, distant animal calls, but Noah felt strangely protected. He had his raft. Days turned into weeks. The forest grew thicker. The path became steeper, and the raft that had once been his savior, began to reveal its true nature. It caught on every low branch. It scraped against his back until his skin tore and bled. It made him slower, clumsier, louder as he crashed through the vegetation. Predators that once would have ignored a quiet traveler now heard him coming from far away. At night, he could barely sleep because of the constant ache in his shoulders and spine. Still, Noah refused to release it. Every time doubt crept in, he remembered the roar of that river. He remembered how close death had come. This raft saved me, he repeated like a mantra. I would be a fool to abandon it now. The more it hurt him, the more fiercely he defended it. The attachment had become his identity. He was no longer just Noah the merchant. He was Noah who carried the raft that saved his life. The jungle did not care about his story. It only saw a man hobbling under an unnecessary burden. One blistering afternoon, as Noah staggered forward, with sweat pouring into his eyes and the raft digging deeper into his raw shoulders, he came upon a small clearing. There, sitting in perfect stillness beneath an ancient banyan tree, was an old monk. His eyes were closed, his face serene, his body appearing almost weightless. The monk opened his eyes and looked at Noah. He took in the exhausted merchant, the deep gashes on his back, the way his knees trembled under the impossible load. Without judgment, the monk asked a single question that cut through the air like a blade. "Why are you still carrying that raft?" Noah stopped. His chest heaved. Anger flared up instantly. "This raft saved my life," he snapped. "I was drowning. Without it, I would have died in that river. How dare you suggest I abandon what protected me?" The monk remained calm, his voice soft but devastatingly clear. "My friend, the raft fulfilled its purpose the moment it carried you across the water. It was a tool for crossing the river, not a treasure to carry for the rest of your life. By keeping it, you are no longer being saved. You are being enslaved by your own gratitude." Noah laughed bitterly, shifting the crushing weight on his back. "You don't understand. You weren't there. You didn't feel death closing in. This raft is my insurance. It's my wisdom. It's my safety." The old monk shook his head slowly. "Tell me, Noah, how many rivers have you crossed since that day?" Noah fell silent. "Exactly," the monk continued. "You have been walking on solid ground for many weeks now. The only thing this raft is doing is destroying your body and stealing your freedom. What once gave you life is now taking it away, one painful step at a time. The wise man knows when to use the raft and when to leave it behind." Noah wanted to argue. He wanted to scream that the monk was wrong. But deep down, in the exhausted core of his being, a terrible truth was beginning to stir. The raft had stopped being useful long ago. He had turned his salvation into his prison. He turned away from the monk and continued walking, the weight heavier than ever. The final test came at the edge of a deep ravine. A narrow, treacherous path hugged the cliff face. One wrong step, and he would plunge hundreds of feet to the rocks below. The raft, now a monstrous burden, made balance almost impossible. It caught the wind. It shifted with every movement. His legs shook violently. His back screamed in agony. For the second time in his life, Noah stood face to face with death. And in that moment of pure terror, something finally broke inside him. With a roar that echoed through the canyon, Noah reached back, tore at the vines binding the raft to his body, and hurled the heavy bamboo structure over the edge of the cliff. It tumbled down, crashing against the rocks far below. The moment it left his back, an overwhelming wave of lightness flooded through him. His shoulders, raw and bleeding, suddenly felt free. His spine straightened. His breath came easier. The jungle itself seemed to open up before him. For the first time since crossing that river, Noah felt truly alive. He stood there on the narrow path, tears mixing with the sweat on his face, and laughed. Not with bitterness this time, but with pure, wild liberation. He had not just crossed one river, he had finally crossed the most dangerous river of all, the river of attachment. When the Buddha first told this story to his monks, he did not speak gently. He looked them in the eyes and said, "The teachings are like a raft. They are for crossing over, not for carrying on your shoulders once you have reached the other shore." But the lesson goes far deeper than teachings. It applies to everything you refuse to release. That relationship that ended years ago, but you still carry in your heart that old identity, that old success, that old wound, that old version of yourself that no longer serves you. That belief, that habit, that fear, that possession you cling to, even though it is cutting into your soul every single day. You are Noah right now. You are walking through the jungle of your life with a raft strapped to your back, bleeding, exhausted, slowed down, and terrified to let it go. All because it once saved you. The question the old monk asked Noah is the same question staring at you today. Why are you still carrying that? The raft has already done its job. Let it go. Drop the weight. The moment you do, you will discover the terrifying and beautiful truth. You never needed it to keep walking. You only needed the courage to release it. What is the one attachment you are still refusing to release? And how much longer are you willing to destroy yourself before you finally let it go?